Welcome to the bold analysis. We do not work on political expediencies. These are the words of CBK Governor Patrick Njoroge while speaking in an interview in the United States of America. He responded to the question of whether the financial reviews, monetary policies that William Ruto's new administration were proposing to fulfill their campaign pledges will actually be achieved. And he was so specific to his word by saying, he was asked because next week there is a meeting, an international meeting of Monetary Policy Committee that is expected to meet next week, considering to work on the monetary policy at the CBK, because that touches on the economy of the country. And there's something he said straight without blinking a word, that central bank will continue with the policies it has always had, regardless of the new administration that has come in. Good central bankers do their work based on data as opposed to political expediencies. You will see the central bank continuing along with the same lines as before, Dr. Njoroge said. And this was in response to some two issues that I want to reveal in this video, because at the campaign trail, William Ruto's campaign vis-a-vis the Azimio la Umoja was concentrated more on empowering a voter who was known as the hustler. And the hustler was framed as the small enterprises that are deep in debts and have been blacklisted because they have gone for expensive loans simply because they have a problem of access to financing. So most of them, the hustler was framed as a Kenyan who is working small enterprises, and because that person cannot afford loans, he's been affected. So to boost access to financing, the Kenya Kwanza team floated a project known as the Hustlers Fund. And the Hustlers Fund is one at the county level. It's a national government kitty to support these enterprises. But the framework of receiving it, there was another necessity that came on the way. That because most of them are already blacklisted with the CRB, it means the eligibility to access the funds was also affected. So William Ruto gave a promise that he was going to review and see whether they can be removed from the CRB. And at the inauguration arena in Kasarani, it was a perfect opportunity to say that inawezekana. And listen to that.
Financial inclusion and access to credit are critical in addressing the fundamental factors of cost of living, job creation, and the people's well-being. We shall take measures to drive down the cost of credit. Our starting point is to shift the Credit Reference Bureau framework from its current practice of arbitrary, punitive, all-or-nothing blacklisting of borrowers, which denies borrowers credit. We will work with credit reference bureaus on a new system of credit score rating that provides borrowers with an opportunity to manage their credit worthiness. This will eliminate the culture of blacklisting. In our engagements, traders also complain.
That was a pledge that William Ruto gave to Kenyan voter, that they were going to remove them in CRB, and of course they are going to review. But Patrick Njoroge is saying that monetary policy decisions are driven by data, international factors like international money policy, price stability, and even the interest rates are determined by other factors that are just beyond political convenience. And in straight words, he's saying that we are not going to remove people on CRB simply because we are supposed to redeem a campaign pledge. Second thing that is also addressing, remember the issue of 1 million transaction, that if you wanted to transact 1 million, there were a lot of questions, and the process was very tedious. There was a lot of bureaucracy in that. But that was introduced to counter illicit flow of funds and also in the spirit of curbing money laundering. And William Ruto said that having spoken with the CBK governor, they had started to see a process on how that issue can be addressed. Now, let me tell you, I know many people looked at that issue as President Uhuru, as President Uhuru Kenyatta's maybe just ploy to affect or rather to punish other people. But let me tell you, the CBK governor is saying that even at one point, October last year, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta gave a directive to raise the heavy cash transaction limit from 1 million to 5 million, but it was not. Now, after they issued the directive stating that the requirement had given many away from the formal, had actually made many people to scared away from the formal financial services sector, as they remained uneasy with the reporting requirement, where a customer is required to state source or usage of funds when depositing, withdrawing, or transferring cash beyond 1 million. So because of that, even President Uhuru Kenyatta's regime, that felt like many people had come out, were now trying to evade the formal financial solutions. And even though President ordered, the CBK could not implement it because there were external or international monetary policies that were needed. I want to save you more of these jargons of finances. But what is simply in this statement is this. The CBK governor is simply saying that irrespective of the administration, on matters financial policies, it is less driven. And the policies, even if they are to be legislated, even the legislation is driven by other factors. That is the international monetary policies and the existing policies. So, someone should not lie that because of the new administration, it can put an executive order and things go straight. However, it was also put in the spirit of money laundering. Now, this is the bad news to hustlers. That while the hustlers fund might be there, but the issue of CRB might not be achieved now. CRB blacklisting, removal from blacklisting. Actually, William Ruto spoke about review, so that instead of credit rating, so that instead of someone haizi pata, at least mtu apate 1 million, apate 50,000, apate 20, so on and so forth. So ladies and gentlemen, in the light of that, there's some outcomes that this can bring, and that is the blow that I want to talk about. But before that, I want to remind us about the scholarsbean.com, education website that enables you to sell and buy education material, both from primary, secondary to tertiary institutions. And we reach out to those who signed up and those who are still signing up. That is the link there. You can still sign up, and when you sign up, post an ad, post a book, that exam paper, or that uniform, so that someone who is somewhere, people who are getting the site, can get the support. A child somewhere needs that book. And so for those who have signed up and those who are still signing up now, can they sign up and post an ad so that people can get the products they are looking for. And thank you very much for that. Now, from where I'm seated, this latest development is going to affect access to Hustlers Fund, if it will be existing. And to some extent, what is also showing is this Hustlers Fund is not as easy as people were treated to believe. Remember now, they now started saying it will be given to circles, it will be targeting self-help groups and all that, which is just a replica of Wezo Fund. But the credit eligibility of you to receive Hustlers Fund, which was supposed to be addressed by the CRB issue, may not be now. And with also difficulty in addressing the 1 million transaction limit, then many people still are going to shy away from the formal financial solutions and may opt for kubeba pesa kwa bag. So this is something that I can see. And one thing I see here is it portrays William Ruto as during the campaigns that he made roadside policies. He just read roadside pronouncements without in-depth policies. And what he needed to do, and I think what people need to do, is now to shade off. If there is something you know after sitting out with strategies to realize, okay, this one might not be achieved now, then you just drop it and you stop talking about it. You talk about that which you can do. At least with that, people might forget. Kenyans might forget, but who are we? After 100 days, we'll try to sort out answers. So that is the indication, and there are more to come. While you can explain that the subsidies cannot be achieved because they are not bearable, we cannot continue with the unga subsidy and that subsidy because of hakuna pesa and it's not sustainable. So how are you going to defend the fact that you cannot interfere with monetary policies for political convenience? How are we going to explain that? Actually, it's just something in the face, an eye in the face that this is not possible. And it's further for political debate on the issue of international forces. I think it's actually giving the president, and that's the advantage in it, it's actually giving the president a leeway, in the president camp, a leeway to accredit some of these issues to the international forces. The really 1 million transaction limit might still take time, and I think this, to some extent, it was also giving a low, discouraging, or not showing a very conducive environment for foreign investments, because again, foreign investments transact in the tune of millions. So if someone is going to give explanation for every million he's transacting in the country, then other people, and of course they're also taxed, people might see that as a ploy to create roadblocks on the foreign investments in the country. But on this one, I think Kenyans might have to bear with the president that the blacklisting is not done, not because of the powers around presidency or an executive order. This one, you cannot do an executive order like the executive order number 1 of returning the port to Mombasa. This one is not on that line. This one, it has to do, and because it touches on the economy. And that is my bold statement on this.